In this video, we'll be exploring the average retirement savings by age philosophy. We're going to talk about the pros of that philosophy and some of the cons or the pitfalls of following that particular mindset. How's it going, Internet? So good to see you as always. Honored to be here with you and to share this information with you. My name is Mike the CPA. On Money in Life TV, we produce videos around finances, investing, taxes, and so much more. If you look across the internet, you're gonna find a lot of different articles that talk about age targets or how much you should have saved for retirement by age. And the one that caught my attention the most is the one by Kiplinger. On Kiplinger's site, it gives you benchmarks or a multiple of your earnings to calculate, to help you figure out if you're on track or not. If you're age 30, it recommends having half of your salary saved today. If you're age 35, 1 to 1.5 of your salary, and it goes all the way down to age 65, where it recommends having either 8 times your salary up to 14 times your salary. Every single article I looked at had a multiple or benchmark table like this, because what they found is that it's really hard to encourage somebody, especially if they're not familiar with finances and how to calculate it. If they have to calculate the number themselves, they get really confused and they usually don't even try at all. So what they found is by giving somebody a benchmark or a rule of thumb, something to go on, like something simple like this, the average person could comprehend it with very little financial knowledge. So what I did is I took the information from that article and I ran a scenario because I wanted to see how it might play out using an example. So I'll show you that on screen right now. And then I'll talk about my thoughts to see if that's if this information is actually feasible. It definitely encourages and motivates somebody to save for retirement. But I think there are some pitfalls with this approach, which we're going to discuss in this video. So we just looked at this saving benchmark table, but there's some other key assumptions in this article that the author wants you to know about. It says, key assumptions assumes household income grows at 5% until age 45 and 3% the assumed inflation rate thereafter. Major red flag here for me is I don't think the average person's earnings is growing by 5% per year. I don't think that's realistic. I might be wrong, just saying, but I don't think the average person is getting a 5% raise every single year. I think it's much more realistic that people are only getting about a 2% raise per year. Am I wrong? Let me know, subscribers. Let me know in the comment section what you think is a fair salary increase number every year. It says investment returns before retirement are 7% before taxes and savings grow tax deferred. The person retires at age 65 and begins withdrawing at 4% of assets, a rate intended to support steady inflation adjusted spending over a 30-year retirement. Okay, so this author thinks that once you've done this author is telling you should be able to withdraw 4% of your account, your investment account balance every year. And it should last you for 30 years, and it should keep you above board of inflation. So let's just see if that would actually transpire that way. If there's any other details you want to read about in the article, feel free to, like I said, click the link and go ahead and read them for yourselves, and please feel free to share your thoughts. In this example, we're assuming the person has an average annual salary of $70,000 and they're 25 years of age. Now, obviously, I know most 25-year-olds aren't making $75,000, but it's just an example. That's all it says. And the salary doesn't matter here. You could change this to be whatever number you want. The idea is we're going to plug in a random income number and follow through the formula, the benchmark savings table we saw in the Kiplinger article, and see if it's reasonable. So on this first line, we multiply this salary by the amount of income the person has. So this is the lower end of the range, if you remember. So we were just looking at these benchmarks. So we're going to look at the high end of the range and the low end of the range. So as you can see on the low line, starting at 25, we have zero saved for retirement, which is 25, I think is a good age because that's around the age between 25 and 30 where I think most people have to begin thinking about retirement, or they should be thinking about retirement. And as you can see, so by age 30, here's the age. By age 30, this person, under the low benchmark, they would have saved $35,000. Under the high benchmark, if they're a really good saver, they would have saved $70,000. And we can play this out throughout the year. So by 35, they would have saved this much. By age 40, according to the article, they should have invested this much. 45, they should have invested this much. And all the way at age 65, which is in the article assumes that's when this person or individual will be retiring, they should have saved anywhere from $560,000 to $980,000, which is the $980,000 is a multiple of 14 times the person's salary. Now, I want to point out here, and it's not accounted for in these calculations, but in theory, this person's income should go up or should go down over time. Well, it should go up. They should continue to get raises. I don't think in the neighborhood of 5% per year, but at least 2% per year. So it's not reflected here, but the idea is that you would be making, your salary would be changing over time. So, your multiple at these different age ranges you'd want that to be what your current salary is at that point. That's an important distinction I have to point out here. So once again, depending on what your salary is at that age, so like let's say your salary at age 40 is $80,000 or $90,000, that's what your multiple times earnings should be at that point. I put a link here in the spreadsheet. There's a free financial calculator I use all the time to help me calculate these numbers right here. And I'm going to show you what's behind this here in just a second. But there's a website, it's called FN Calculator, or fncalculator.com. So when you ask me, Mike, where did you get the numbers for these calculations? I'm going to tell you, I got it from my calculator. Like, no joke, it says FN Calculator. Within the financial calculator website, I use the retirement savings analysis calculator, this portion of the website, this calculator, to calculate the numbers you're seeing here. Total saved by age 65. So by using the higher multiple, I just wanted to use this amount, the higher version of the savings benchmark of $980,000. So we're taking $980,000 here, and we're saying that's the total this person has saved by age 65. Okay, we're going to assume an estimated annual average rate of return of 5% after inflation. Estimated annual average return of 5%, which is, in my opinion, it's fairly conservative. When I'm doing retirement projections for my wife and I like to stay between the 4 and 6% range because I think that's a little bit more realistic. But really, you could use any rate of return you want here, and you could just plug it into the calculator and it will do the math for you if you come to this website and check it out for yourself, which I highly encourage you to do. So we know that this person using the benchmarks would have saved by age 65 14 times their salary of $980,000, but what does that equate to into a monthly investment amount needed in order to reach those amounts? So what I've done is I've laid out a couple different examples for you guys so you can kind of see how this would work and the kind of money this person would need to invest to get those results. So if they're starting at age 65, in getting a 5% rate of return, they would need to invest $676 a month. If they didn't start investing until 30, they would need to invest $904 a month. If they didn't start investing until age 35, they would need $1,229 invested per month. And if they didn't start investing until 40, they would need to invest $1,700 per month, roughly, to eventually reach this benchmark savings rate of $980,000. So now, what does that turn into in terms of like a monthly income? Let's take a look at that. So what I've done here is I've assumed that this person's going to retire at age 65. They have $980,000 saved based on the example we looked at. So this row right here, I'm just showing different withdrawal rates of how much money they want to withdraw from their investment accounts each year. This row right above it, it says estimated amount of years the money will last. I got a typo there. But this row is all about how long this money might last, roughly, if this person withdraws the money at these rates. So if they're only taking out 2% per year, this person's money can last for 50 years. If they're withdrawing 2.5%, the money can last for 40 years roughly, etc., etc. Now, the article, if you remember, it claimed that using this strategy, a person can withdraw their investments at a rate of 4% over a 30-year time span. So let's look at that. So first of all, if you're withdrawing from a balance of this at these different rates, so at 4%, let's go with what the article said. At 4%, this person's withdrawing $39,200 before taxes. from this account. Now, some of this money might be tax-free, some of it might not. We don't know. It just all depends on where the person invested their retirement savings to do this. In this example, by withdrawing at 4%, their money would last them approximately 25 years, give or take, 25 to 30 years, maybe, and they would be able to withdraw an average annual income of $39,200 per year. What does that equate to into a monthly income? As you can see, that would be a $3,266 monthly income per month based on these figures, okay? The article also speaks to the fact that the person will receive Social Security, which assumes that they will, which I think might be a dangerous assumption. I think there was going to be something in place, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm going to receive Social Security or how much. From the Save website, there's a Social Security calculator on here where you can drop in your average annual income and it will spit out how much per month you could potentially receive from Social Security. Super helpful. I like that. So that's what I used. This person could receive $1,900 a month roughly from Social Security if Social Security is still around. So to put it all in perspective, this person would receive $3,266 per month from their investments and $1,900 per month from Social Security, or roughly $62,000 per year. Now, there's a couple variables we don't know in this example. One, when it comes to retirement planning, that's what makes retirement planning challenging, is one, we don't know how long we're going to live. Nobody knows. Two, we don't know what our exact expenses are going to be at that point in time. Nobody knows for sure. Third, we don't know the exact rate of return we're going to receive. So there's multiple variables, and those are just some of them. There's more than that play into these calculations, which makes retirement planning somewhat challenging. But overall, I think this article does a good job of encouraging people to save for retirement and gets them thinking about retirement, which I think is fantastic. Where I think the article falls short are some of the areas of improvement for this particular approach to retirement, is that you have to really consider if this projecting these numbers at this stage in your life right now, if this would be enough for you. Run through these numbers, see if it makes sense, think if it's going to be enough. So I personally think that this might not be enough, because as you can see, overall, this person's been working hard and investing their whole life. Now they're going to have to live on less than that, which is honestly, that's the average approach to retirement these days, which I don't necessarily like. I don't want to work my whole life and end up with less. To me, that's not the wisest plan. So what I also explored is, what if we did want to make sure we had at least our average income in our working years in retirement? What would it take? What would we need to invest in order to accomplish that? So I'm going to hide these cells, or take away the color here so you guys can see them. So I ran a couple other scenarios in our calculator to see how much we would need to invest per month in order to eventually achieve a $70,000 year income. And in order to achieve the $70,000 year income, which we were receiving during our working years, we would want to have at least $1,750,000 in investments if we're getting a 5% rate of return. And now this would assume that we're not going to get Social Security, which to me, if you're planning this way, I think you're going to have a much higher chance or success rate at retiring than if you're assuming you're going to get Social Security. I'm showing you these numbers not to discourage you, but to give you a broader, more realistic perspective of what it would take in terms of total investments to replace your annual income. So as you can see, then if you want to withdraw 4% from 1.75 million is $70,000 per year. That is how much you would need in investments to replace your income. So a lot of times, I think if you want to see what it's going to take to replace your income, and you want to use the 4% withdrawal rule, like for example, if your income is $75,000, just divide that by 0.04, and that's how much you would need in investments to replace that. I know when we see these numbers, it's scary. It's very daunting. It's a daunting task to realize, like, oh my gosh, how do I save that much, or how do I invest that much? Well, it's just to encourage you to really start thinking about this stuff right now with where you're at in life. The sooner you start investing, the less money it's going to take for you to retire. The sooner you start, the longer your money has to grow using compounding interest, and the faster you're going to get there. So I would encourage you to take a broad look at your expenses and see what you can cut. Most articles, it talks about savings, but what they don't talk about is making more money. And on many of my videos, I've encouraged people to focus on making more money, because it's really hard to have a decent lifestyle and be able to afford to save for retirement unless you're focusing on increasing your income over time. And so I would definitely encourage you to do that. Get out of debt as soon as possible. It takes a lot of sacrifices to make this happen, but I assure you, the peace, the lack of stress you'll have knowing that you have a solid foundation under your feet is gonna make your life so much better. Much better than if owning a brand new truck or having all of these expensive things, but never having any fundamental resources for retirement. In the comment section below, guys, let me know your thoughts, your comments, your questions about all this stuff. Let me know if you think this benchmark approach that is written by several different websites and publishers is realistic. Do you think there's a better approach to saving for retirement? If so, what is it? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And if you would like me to do more videos around this area, please let me know. And also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you crush that like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I try to produce a new video on this channel about once per week around finances, investing, taxes, and so much more. With that being said, guys, I look forward to reading your comments. It's my favorite part about doing YouTube. Have a great week, everybody, and use this information to live your life uncaged. Bye, guys. Peace.